Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of this amazing podcast. Welcome to the Michaels. Today, we'll try to understand better a lot of interesting things about the next topic beyond the courtroom, a journey through rights, technology, and change. For this, we have a great specialist from Brazil, Mr. Deilton Ribeiro Brasil. Please, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to give my heartfelt thanks for this very kind invitation to be here to Mihail Stanisco and also to Mihail Miu Homozan for to be here. I am a legal scholar, professor, and researcher whose academic and professional trajectory has been dedicated to the study of law, with particular emphasis on the protection of fundamental rights, constitutional law, human rights, environmental regulation, digital law, democracy, governance, rule of law, and the legal challenges arising from technological and environmental transformation. And I'm glad to be here, and we can start our conversation.
Great. First of all, thank you that you accept our invitation. For us, it's a honor to be here with you because, okay, me and my colleague, we are more on the engineering stuff, and this part of the law, I think it can be a real big knowledge for us because also we can talk a little bit about the legal when we talk about technology. Am I right, Mihai?
Yes, sure. I'm also the guy with the finances also because I'm the CEO, which sponsors this podcast of
Yeah.
Financial Architects. And Financial Architects is a business that I started recently, which provides financial education to all the people that need to make budgeting, how to make investments, and how to make those smart decisions in their life. Because if you don't make the decisions for now, later it will be worse for you, basically. Because if you don't take action now, if you don't have discipline for your financial objectives, you're not gonna get them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's important to be ethical about all of this stuff.
Yeah, it's important to be informed and inform people about what can they do with their money, because money means work. You have to work for money. If you don't value your work for the future, you don't value your objectives, basically. I was a little too hard, but that's reality. Like, for example, if you want to have an objective in 10 years, you have to make something for that objective. Like, you have to take actions. But that's not the topic of the podcast today. The topic of the podcast is what we discussed. That's our guest Ribeiro.
Yes.
We're gonna talk more about the challenges of the law in today's climate. For example, I have a question for you, Mr. Ribeiro. For example, what do you think of AI interfering in law institutions? Like, what's your opinion on this?
Oh, well, a very good question, Dr. Mihail, about artificial intelligence. That's a big challenge in Brazil. We have a draft law which is being discussed in our National Congress. And this draft law is specific for the regulation of artificial intelligence in Brazil, because today we don't have regulation for artificial intelligence and digital platforms. We do not have, but we need to have. And this draft law, just for you to understand better, has about 700 articles, not only artificial intelligence, but also from another issues. Well, the Brazilian judiciary power has been using artificial intelligence, not for the judgments, for civil or criminal judgments, but in order to help the judges, the magistrates, to organize their routine of decision. Because still in Brazil, due of our federal constitution of 1988, we have a fundamental principle that every person, every citizen has the right to be judged by a natural judge, a person, not a machine. It's written in our constitution. So that's why still in Brazil, it's not possible for artificial intelligence give decisions for criminal or civil issues, subjects. But the new technologies are present today, and day after day, we see new challenges because the new technologies are developing so fast that indeed,
very fast.
Indeed.
We are living the fourth industrial revolution right now.
Yes, we cannot stop this digital revolution, or we cannot deny this digital revolution. But I think it will be a reality. For example, in South America, especially in Colombia, it's a country located in South America, I know that a machine, artificial intelligence, is already giving decisions specific in criminal processes. Well, we have to analyze more, because we know that the artificial intelligence can make that we call biases or hallucinations, and repeat some kind of wrong decisions. Because when you have AI in the judiciary power, you have to know who is the programmer. And also, if the AI is not protecting fundamental rights, like right to privacy, right to free speech, and right to go and return with liberty, we know that day after day, we are going to a policial state. It means a state that is in constant surveillance to their citizens. So,
like for example, sorry to interrupt. Like for example, in China, There
Yes.
has been a mass surveillance update, which also uses AI for criminal predictions, because there are a lot of public cameras there.
Yes, but for example, in Brazil, the AI can make hallucinations or repeat some wrong issues.
Because this
For
is the
example,
way how they were
Yeah,
training
they're training
before.
like
yes,
that, and
yes,
the programmers is also at fault. Like for example, today the AI is still ha-
Good
has to rely
technical, but
on
bad ethical.
programmers. Yeah, it has to rely
yeah,
on programmers still. Maybe in the future when AGIs like artificial general intelligence will become real, that will be another story. But let's live until then.
yes, that's very interesting. And what I'm researching in my studies, it's about the civil liability of AI. To whom belongs the civil liability? Because if you have a machine that makes, for example, a specific work or decision. But if the AI committed a mistake and it can affect very profoundly your fundamental right, to whom belongs the civil liability? It will belong to the state, to the Brazilian state, it will belong to the programmer, it will belong to whom? So that's the discussion about the impact of the algorithms. Because algorithms, uh, they can be oppressive. They can be oppressive against citizens. They can make discriminatory actions. And to whom is the responsibility? That's why for this conversation, I choose the expression beyond the courtroom. And here I would like to profit to explain why I choose beyond the courtroom. Because it was chosen uh, because it reflects a broader understanding of law. And I understand that law is not limited to judicial proceedings, court decisions, litigation, or the formal resolution of conflicts.
Mhm.
Although the courtroom remains an essential space for the protection of rights, legal knowledge also operates in universities, research centers, public policies, international academic networks, classrooms, conferences, and the social debates. That's why I think it's very important to talk about what we are discussing now.
Yeah, totally agree with your opinion because it's let's say spicy topic nowadays to have this type of point of view.
Exactly.
Yes, and the law, I think it's important to highlight that law has always been understood as a field connected to real human, social, technological, and environmental problems. And it's important now to help the students, the future lawyers, jurists, to reflect and to understand better what is happening with these new technologies. As I said before, we cannot deny I'm favorable for using AI, but with human supervision.
Exactly, like us, only as an advisor, only advisor on not making decisions, because humans must make the decision. Like in the Constitution in 1988, you said that there has to be a person that makes this decision.
Yes, the judge has to be a person, has to be a human, not a machine.
Exactly.
Well, so it's our federal constitution. For this to change, there will be necessary to make another constitution. And I do not hope a new constitution, because it's not good to change constitutions so quickly. For example, the American Constitution of the United States of America has more than 200 years of existence. That's very good, because it's this American Supreme Court that makes the interpretation what is necessary for the issues. But it's important also to give here, I mean, bringing the Brazilian experience, because even in political issues, we have the Brazilian Congress. It is always necessary to call the Federal Supreme Court in Brazil to give the decision. The last word is from the Federal Brazilian Court. It's we call a constitutionalization and judicialization of the Brazilian politic. Everything goes to the tribunal, the Supreme Court. I don't know if it's the same experience in other countries.
In Romania, it's basically like the same system. It also goes to the Federal Committee of Judges. It's there are like 10 or 8 members. Correct me, Mihail, if I'm mistaken. And they must take the Supreme
decision.
They have the Supreme Court, and they make the most important decisions for the government. They also can change the constitution.
Problems, something like this. National and critical problems.
Yeah.
And I want to mention something, because we talk until now the idea of the decisions. So let's say it's a key point. For this, in this podcast, we have 2 moments. One of them, it's calling the moment of the truth. And for the quest, it's something like this. Mr. Deilton, if you can think a little bit, one decision which you take in your career, and let's say give you the best trigger in your career in this part of the law, in this part of constitutionalization. Which decision do you think you take and was the best one?
A very good question, Dr. Mihail Stanescu. And firstly, it's important to highlight that one important moment of truth in my life, and I think it's about law, was the decision to dedicate my academic and professional career to legal education. I used it to be almost 20 years as a lawyer. I work as a lawyer here in Brazil. I can say a civil lawyer and a labor lawyer, not criminal, but in these two issues. And uh, to choose the career to legal education, research, and protection of fundamental rights. Because I like to be the professor of the young generation who is going to be lawyers. And as a farmer, I try to put little seeds in their minds about what is law, what is the real role of a lawyer, of a judge, and this decision was not only a professional choice, but as I said, also a personal commitment to understanding how law can serve human dignity, democracy, environmental responsibility, and the social transformation. And that moment become inspirational because it was showed me that an academic career is not limited to the transmission of legal knowledge. It's not only the transmission, but also a way of contributing to society, promoting critical thinking, and encouraging students and researchers to understand law as an instrument for the protection of people, and people needs protection, institutions, and future generations. And we have talked about AI, and one of the questions that I receive from my students, if AI will substitute a lawyer, a judge, and if the jobs will be in danger. And I always answer to my students not to worry, because even the AI is becoming more and more developed. Us humans, we have two things that AI doesn't have. The first one,
Let's see.
yes, the first one, it's our mind. Our mind, the complexity of our mind, and the machine cannot reproduce our brain, our thoughts, our thinkings. And the second one, it's our heart, our humanity, our feelings. The machine cannot reproduce. So I tell them, do not worry, because we have our mind and heart, and it is not possible to be replaced by a machine. It's impossible because it belongs to
Totally
us.
agree.
Yes, so I think it's, as I would say, the moment of truth. Indeed, are these issues that we are talking here. And I'm very grateful to be here to talk about that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for
You're
your
welcome.
honest
Thank
answer.
you.
And also, thank you for your courage to make, let's say, the move from lawyer to the part of the education. Because I don't know, for example, in Romania, maybe Mihai can agree or disagree with me that I don't know how many lawyer, for example, want to enter in the educational part in Romania. Because
Oh, no,
some
no,
countries like
I
us,
don't know anyone in this
it's
part. Yeah.
so difficult, let's say, about just benefits to enter in the educational system. If we try
Yes.
to make a parallel about the mentality and the perspective. But what you say, we totally agree.
Oh, thank you. Well, of course, to make a decision to left the lawyer career and to enter to academic career, um, when I thought about that, I had a preparation for that. For example, I was feeling that to be a lawyer was not fulfilling what I really would like to be. And I began to attend my master's degree. I
Mhm.
began, and my master's degree was in Belo Horizonte, and it was in 1997 in the year. And my masters were for 3 years. Only after they changed the master's course for 2 years. But my master's was completed in 3 years. And even with the master's, I thought that it was important for me to attend a doctoral course. It was very
Clearly.
important. And doctorate courses, degree in Brazil are for 4 years. And I choose the University Gama Filho, which is located in Rio de Janeiro. And Rio de Janeiro, the city, is located in another region, state of my country. And I use it to travel twice a week, 400 kilometers to go and 400 kilometers to return. Twice
Mm.
a week, I use it to travel by bus because our transportation in Brazil is by bus or airplanes too, but are more expensive. And for 4 years, I attended my courses. Well, with the doctoral degree, it was possible for me to join the University of Itaúna, which I attend, I work now. And there I began to work with the students from master and doctoral degrees. And that's the challenge. That's the challenge because you can be more free to your reflections and to contribute for the knowledge, for the legal knowledge.
To add
But
value to
also,
society. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. But I still work with the students from graduation course because I my whole life I worked with the students from graduation because here is where I
Mhm.
can work their minds to be ethical as lawyers, to observe the law, because lawyers must observe the law. No? It's very important. And especially in the ethical behavior in the career. And even if my seeds not all can bloom, can flourish, but it flourishes in one person, two persons, or three persons, for me, that's my contribution for society, for my community, for my country where I live. And after the doctoral course, I also attended three postdoctoral courses. The first one was in the University of Coimbra, Portugal. It was my
Europe.
first, yes, Europe. Yes, I was going to say it was my first experience in Europe. Of course, Portugal and Brazil speak the same language with
advantage.
differences in accent, in some words, but we speak the same language. It was very interesting, and I liked it so much that I decided to make a second postdoctoral course in Coimbra. The first one was about human rights, and the second one was about environmental issues. The experience was wonderful because it was a different university, different people, different ways of thinking. It was very interesting. And my third and last postdoctoral course was in Italy. I choose Italy because Italy is the root of Latin. I also speak Latin. Well, not yes, I have studied Latin, but I also speak Italian. The languages, the Latin languages, are not so difficult for us. So I speak Latin and French. But there in Italy was a real challenge because of the language. Because you have to speak fluently all the time. And I attended my course in Messina, which is in South Italy, in Sicily. It was a great experience. The greatest experience was about this course. And then in 2017, 2018, it was some years ago, I was a visiting professor at the University of Ljubljana in Slovenia. I had an opportunity to stay in Slovenia, and it was a very interesting experience as professor, as visiting professor. Very interesting. I stayed in Slovenia for 20 days, and then I went to the University of Pisa in Tuscany, Italy, and stayed more 20 days. In Tuscany, in Pisa University was also wonderful because in Brazil, we have more than 25 million of Italian descendants, because the Italian immigration in Brazil in many years ago was very strong, not only from Italy, but from Germany. We had from Italy, from Poland, and from Russia. In South Brazil, we have colonies, descendants of Ukrainian people, Russian people, Polish people. We have in South Brazil because they have chosen South Brazil because in South Brazil the temperatures are more cold Europeans prefer places with not very hot.
With more temperate climates.
Yes, yes. So that's why they choose. But Italians came to my region too, and so
It
I
was like
could.
an exchange.
Yes, yes. And I could notice how similar is the Italian culture to Brazilian culture. Also in the mess. We are the same as the Italians. And you know, of course, I see that with good eyes, but it was very interesting. Tuscany was a very good decision to stay there, and I gave lectures for Italian students, and I tried in Italian, of course, and I think it was very successful. So I would say perhaps that experiences makes feel alive the decision of choosing my academic career, because it's the oxygen. Because time to time we have to renew the oxygen, and this is very important.
We understand, and because you have a lot of this type of experience also international, and I see potential that during all of this type of experience, you exercise a lot the leadership. We have the next phase of our podcast, which is calling impossible decision. So, Mr. Ribeiro, can you think a little bit about one moment when you had a real impact as a leader?
Well, good question too about impossible decision. I think what I have been talking to both of you now is related to this impossible decision, because an authentic and difficult decision was to continue to expand my academic path beyond national borders. I did this experience, very good experience, beyond my national borders, the Brazilian national borders. In Portugal, it was very interesting. In Italy, in Slovenia, and now I think these international academic experiences in Europe specifically is very good. Now, due to these new technologies, I have been delivering many lectures to Indian universities, to Russian universities, and now I have a decision to make, because I have been invited to be a visiting professor in India, also in
Nice.
Russia. Yes, but I have to make a decision, because here, due to my work commitments, I do not have free time, so I will have to decide to stop my work here in Brazil, perhaps for 6 months or 1 year, to be able to go and to visit these countries, and as a visiting professor. That's why it's a difficult decision, because I
Decision.
have a family, I have a family. I have two sons. I have a wife. So, but you have to make a decision. I think I'm very close to this decision to go, not perhaps for 1 year, but perhaps for 1 month or 2 months, and to decide this, especially to India and Russia, I will be
And
leaving my comfort zone. I will be leaving my comfort zone, facing different academic cultures and adapting my research to international debates. Of course,
to a new
it'll
mentality.
be yes, yes, right, specifically, but to a bit adapting my debates to constitutional law, human rights, environmental law, democracy, and legal regulation. And of course, it demands an effort, not from me, but also from my university, because my university has to allow me to go. But I have to
Okay.
be intellectual openness. You
Yeah,
have to have,
it's I understand
An
your
open
point of
mind.
view
yeah,
because
Yeah.
it's the idea of yeah, it's the idea of
yes,
the opportunity and also the idea of okay, I will miss some part on the one side, but on the other side I will win another opportunities. And this is I
yes,
think a little bit unbalanced, which can be the best one, something like this.
yes. And it's important because, for example, I talked about India and Russia. They belong to BRICS. It's
Yeah.
a association that has China, other countries in this association, and it's strengthening the academic path because why I said intellectual openness? Because I understand my role as a professor, as a researcher, is to be a bridge builder between cultures, between countries. I I never built walls. I think walls, we don't need walls. We need bridges in order to transit from one culture to another culture and make the world better. Because what I feel now that our world has to be better for a better living. Uh, every person has a project of happiness, of prosperity, and it is necessary. We do not need war. We do not need war. We need prosperity, friendship. Build these bridges for me is very important. Of course, I'm just a one person, but as a professor, I put this idea in my students. And so one seed will become a tree. A tree will have fruits, and that's what I intend for to give a better world for my sons, for for my family, for my friends. And I used to say that I'm a citizen of the world, not in a specific country, because
Yeah,
we
they're stronger
need,
together.
yes, we
They're
need a
strong.
dialogue. We need
Yes.
to talk. It's what we are doing here. We are doing a dialogue between we three about ideas, And I think it's very important. And for me, law, the understanding of law as a field that must respond, must answer to global challenges that we are having now in
Yeah, it's
technological.
important to see how we can have an unity in diversity. It's also important
Yes,
to keep our point of originalities, but also, as you mentioned with Bridge, to have, or let's say to find ways of collaboration to be
Yes,
prosperous
yes,
on the both
yes,
side.
not
yes,
fight with
right.
ourselves, fight
I,
alongside.
I agree. Yes, yes, I agree because it's very important. Because I always say to my students, I'm not a politician, I'm not military, I'm a bridge builder. I call myself a bridge builder between cultures, between people, between countries. And that's what our world needs: more dialogue, more comprehension, and try to
To
find,
understand each other, let's say,
yes, the understanding of each other, or trying to find the best answer,
or as
or
I
the best
mentioned,
choice. The
yeah,
best choice, because the best choice, it's not the canon. It's not the canon. It's the dialogue. It's the understanding, because we are ephemeral in this world. We are ephemeral. So make my contribution to this world while I'm living, I'm existing. Because tomorrow or another day, we cannot be here. So let's make a better world for the others, who the next generation. Because I dream for to give a better world. They say that our about environmental matters, we have great issues about pollution, climate change. I said, well, we have to have our answers now, because we don't have a plan B to move everybody to another country. We don't have. We
Or
only
a
have
planet.
the
Or
planet.
a planet. We don't have
Yes,
another planet.
yes, we have the planet Earth.
Aselenization.
Yes, we cannot move. So I want to leave a better country for the next generation. So I have to use the environmental assets with a rational manner, in order to give for the next generations a good environmental ambience. I think it's very important, and and we can find it uh, with democracy, because I see the rule of law, the full rule of law in a democracy, and especially the protection of fundamental rights, especially because
Exactly.
what we value more is the right to live.
To freedom, to live.
Yes, the right to freedom. It's very important, because, as I said, we had a project of happiness, to be a happy person, uh, 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 and it's important. The ancient Greek used it to call it eudaimonia. Eudaimonia, it's the happiness, because we came to this world to be happy. to find happiness, and that's important, and that's what I'm trying to contribute.
Maybe that's another topic for another day. Unfortunately,
Yeah, you are
Mr.
also
Deilton
invited to
Ribeiro, we
another
don't have
episode.
enough time. Another
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
In another
Yes.
Thank
episode,
you
Thank
we
for
will
you.
your
discuss
perspectives. We valuable a lot. Also, we hope, based on this project, the people who will watch us on YouTube, on
Oh,
Facebook, on another
TikTok,
social media,
Instagram.
will understand better this type of the perspectives in laws, in education, and
yes.
we'll see what will happen. But keep the contact. Mr. Mihai, do you want to add something like, let's say, the lesson of today, please?
The lesson of today, it will be a tradition for the Welcome to the Michael's podcast. Where it's gonna be a lesson for every guest we have and the topic we discussed. For example, what we learned today, the lesson we learned is that AI, we shouldn't be afraid of AI of taking our freedom or lawyers because
Yeah.
AI can do that in constitution. In like all the countries, the AI can do that. Only that in a dystopian future. And for example, law is very important to use as an instrument in an ethical way. As our guest told us, Mr. Deilton Ribeiro, law must be used as an instrument in an ethical way and also to add value to society. Because if you don't add value to society, uh, you you should move on to another domain. Like don't do
You
that.
are
Do
just a
something.
regular guy without not so much expectation, let's say.
Yeah, and that's the lesson for today. Also, the impossible decision to take the leap of faith, uh, to get out of our comfort zone, to travel to other countries in the international borders in order to evolve, to uh, make our decisions for the objectives that we have in the future, and have the cost opportunity reduced because we took the action for our objectives.
Yeah,
So
thank you
that's
for the
for today.
lessons. Thank you for your valuable knowledge. And don't forget, you are also invited to another episode to discuss more and more because I observed that there are some interesting differences between, let's say, mentality in Romania, in Europe, and the mentality, let's say, in South America and also in another countries on various perspectives. Thank you very much, Mr. Delton. Thank you very much, Mihai, you, Romoshan. And see you to the next episode of Welcome to the Michael's podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.